أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
عظم الله أجورنا وأجوركم بمصابنا بأبي عبد الله الحسين. Respected brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In our previous discussion last night, we spoke about the concept of mercy in Islam, and we explained that everything is based on mercy, and from the mercy of Allah comes love. Allah created us to have a relation of love with His creation. And we ended our discussion with speaking about the concept of punishment in Islam and how it can differ from one place to another. For us to live or to be blessed by this mercy and to feel the love, it's important to have a sound heart. Qalbun Salim. If someone doesn't have a sound heart, he would not be able to feel the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or to benefit from the mercy of Allah. See, the mercy, in order for you to benefit from it, there are certain conditions that have to be met. In many verses, for example, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about the Quran, He says, وَإِذَا قُرِئَ الْقُرْآنُ فَاسْتَمِعُوا لَهُ وَأَنصِتُوا لَعَلَّكُمْ تُرْحَمُونَ. When the Quran is being recited, then listen to it and remain silent, that mercy may be shown to you. لَعَلَّكُمْ, maybe it refers to the conditions that must be met in order for you to receive this mercy. And the same thing with mercy in general, not only when it comes to reciting Quran. There are certain conditions for you to feel this mercy or to be blessed with this mercy. One of these conditions is to have qalbun salim, a sound heart. What is a sound heart? A sound heart is a heart that is pure from all forms of impurity. There's no impurity in it. It's a heart that is full of submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A heart that is full of kindness, and a heart that only gives good. It's a heart that doesn't harm anyone and deals with all people in good manners, regardless of the religion. You see, sometimes you find people who are not religious. Some people who don't have any religion at all, but when you deal with them, you find that they are good people. They have a good heart. A sound heart is when someone deals with other people in good manners. In a religious sense, a sound heart is a heart that follows the orders of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because it believes that Allah wants all good for us. And when this heart faces the material life and the material pleasures, it looks at these pleasures, or it looks at these pleasures. If the heart finds the sound heart, if it finds these pleasures go along with the orders of Allah, they benefit from it, or they follow it, or they try to seek it. But if they find that these pleasures, these worldly pleasures, contradict with the orders of Allah or with the divine principles that they believe in, they refrain themselves from seeking them. A great example, or a great person with a sound heart, is Amirul Mu'mineen, Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. You see, Imam Ali alayhi salam, after the death of the second Khalifa, he was offered the Khilafah. He was offered authority. He was offered all the power of the Islamic nation. They came to him and they said, we give you the pledge of becoming the Khalifa under certain conditions. For you to follow the book of Allah, the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the sunnah of the two khulafa that were before you. Imam Ali said, I follow the Quran and the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam without following the traditions of anyone else, because I believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is my God, and I believe in the infallibility of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to follow. These are my two sources. When they rejected or when they refused to accept this from him, he said to him, there's no need for me to be the Khalifa. He rejected the authority, he rejected the worldly pleasure, because he found that this worldly pleasure was against the divine principles that he believes in, or that he believed in. That's why Amirul Mu'minin alayhi salam, he says in a hadith, Ya dunya ghurri ghayri, let this life go away from me, or get away from me. قَدْ طَلَّقْتُكِ ثَلَاثًا لَا رَجْعَةَ فِيهَا. I have divorced you thrice, and now there is no return to you. There is no place for any worldly pleasure in the heart of Amirul Mu'minin alayhi salam if it goes against the orders of Allah. Another great person with a sound heart is Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, he was able to sit down in the mosque of his grandfather Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, to teach people how to pray and how to fast, and he would have received all the worldly pleasures that he asked for back then. If he just sat down in the mosque of his grandfather and taught people how to fast and how to pray, he would have received everything that he wanted. You know, Yazid, he put some pressure on the sons of the companions to give pledge to him. As we mentioned, from Abdullah ibn Abbas, Abdullah ibn Umar, Abdullah ibn Zubayr, and Abdullah ibn Ja'far, and Imam al-Hussein. He put pressure. When he found out that Imam al-Hussein is not going to give a pledge, he sent some people to sit down with the Imam. And he presented an offer to the Imam. He offered the Imam the following. He said to him, through those who sat down with Imam al-Hussein, he said to him, sit in Medina. Don't give pledge to us, but don't interfere in politics. This was an offer from Yazid. So you don't have to give a pledge. We're not going to come and kill you next to the Kaaba. Stay in Medina. You're safe in Medina. Just sit down and don't interfere in politics. Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, if he was seeking the worldly pleasures, he was able to do that, to sit down, tell people, Wallah, you have to do wudu this way. You have to do wudu this way, you have to pray that way, you have to fast this way, perform hajj. If they ask him about the affairs that is going around, he says to them, I have nothing to do with politics. Politics is evil. Stay away from politics. Follow the traditional path, and so on. He was able to do that. But because Sayyid al-Shuhada, Abi Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam, he represented Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he had an obligation of representing Islam, he had to be active in all the dimensions of this religion. Islam is not a spiritual religion only. Spirituality is one of the aspects or one of the dimensions of Islam. There's a spiritual dimension that you have to be active in. There's a social dimension that you have to be active in. There's an economic dimension that you have to be active in. And there's a political dimension that you have to be active in. You can't pick and choose as Muslim. It's not up to you. You know, some people, even today, they have a problem when they hear someone talking about politics. Even if there's a turban head sitting down talking about politics, it becomes very sensitive. They get scared about it. Why do we have to speak about politics? Let's stay away from politics. Well, it's not up to me, and it's not up to you to choose. Islam has more than one dimension, and you have to be active in all these dimensions. This is what we learn from Abi Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam. Imam al-Hussein, he went out to Karbala to take a political stance. And in that sense, we can say that Imam al-Hussein was a politician. He was a divine politician representing the divine politics of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because he had a sound heart, he refused all the worldly pleasures. He refused all the money that he would have received from Bani Umayyah. He refused all the authority, and he went out to represent the religion of Allah in all its dimensions. This is because the reason behind this is because he had a sound heart. While someone who has a sick heart, someone who didn't feel the mercy of Allah, or someone who never felt the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you'll find them pick and choose. You find them, they follow a method of picking whatever they want from this religion. If they find their interest, let's say, in the social aspect of religion, you'll find them very active in the social aspect. If you find that they have an interest in the political aspect, you'll find them active in that aspect. They look at their own personal interest, and they are willing, for the sake of the worldly pleasures, to sell everything, including their religion. And an example of a person with a sick heart is Umar ibn Sa'd. Umar ibn Sa'd, he knew Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam very well. And he was close to Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam in Medina. When Yazid and Ibn Ziyad came and said to Umar ibn Sa'd, lead the army against Imam al-Hussein and we will give you the authority of Ar-Ray. Ar-Ray is Tehran today, that city, that big city. There's a price for this authority. You've been dreaming of taking control of Ar-Ray. There's a price. The price is to kill Al-Hussein ibn Ali. Umar ibn Sa'd, for one day or one night, he sat down thinking, what should I do? Should I accept to kill Imam al-Hussein and receive the Ar-Ray, the authority of Ar-Ray? But if I do this, I will end up in hellfire. And I know that Al-Hussein is the son of Rasulullah. He heard that Imam al-Hussein, he heard the hadith, Husaynun minni wa ana min Husayn. He heard the hadith, Al-Hasan wal-Husayn rayhanataya min hadhihi dunya. He heard all these narrations. The next day he decided to sell his religion for the sake of this worldly pleasure, because he didn't have a sound heart. And this is a lesson for us, brothers and sisters. We can speak theoretically as much as we want. We can sit down here and say we are the best of Muslims. We can say that we are strong. But do you know when you prove to be strong? When power and money is presented to you. This is where you show how strong you are. Not when you have nothing. When you have nothing, you can speak as much as you want. But when it's offered to you and they say, all these pleasures, they have a price, and this price is for you to sell your religion, show me how strong you are. One of our great scholars, Sheikh Muhammad Baqir al-Sadr rahmatullah alayhi ala Allah maqamu al-sharif, he used to say, "Man minna uridat alayhi dunya Harun farafadaha." Who from us was offered to take the authority or the power of Harun and he rejected it? A lot of people would have killed Imam al-Qadim alayhi salam for half of the authority that Harun had. You see, on a practical level, show me how strong you are, not only in theories. Now, when we speak about having a sound heart and filling your heart with love, it doesn't mean that you neglect the material pleasures that you see in this life. The truth is, we love the material pleasures. Inside your heart, as much as you want, as much as you try to hide it, you know, between you and yourself, you know that you love the material pleasures. You like to have a new car. You like to have a big house. You like to have money. You like to have nice clothes. You like to travel maybe to different places. This is something that you like to have in your life, correct? No one can deny this. No one can hide this from himself at least. You can hide that from people and pretend to be humble, pretend that you don't care about the material pleasures, but between you and yourself, you know that you do like it. Here, sometimes we feel that there's a contradiction between what we hear, because at the end we are religious, and in religion we hear that we shouldn't concentrate on the material pleasures. We feel there's a contradiction between this and between what we feel in our hearts. Correct? And how many times you heard speakers or sheikhs sitting on the mimbar telling you, don't concentrate on money. Money is nothing. This life is going to end. Concentrate on the hereafter. I've personally heard someone on the mimbar guiding the youth, telling them, there's no need for you to seek on buying a house in this life. Build a house in the hereafter. This is how they teach them. After they finish preaching, they come down from the mimbar. Some of them, of course, with all due respect to the honest ones. They come down, they have a fight with the management for the salary that they want to get or the money that they will get. They drive their new car to their mansion house and they sit down and relax all night while you're lost, saying, what should I do? Should I concentrate on this life? Should I concentrate on the hereafter? You get lost between what you hear and what you feel. You get lost. This is a problem. Now, let me tell you, and you know, this is not my first time here. I've been here before, and I think we know each other. I'm very honest, and this honesty gets me in trouble sometimes. Let me tell you something. Money is very important in life. Material pleasures are very important in life. You can't deny this. You say it doesn't make you happy. Who says it doesn't make you happy? You can. It does make you happy in your life. If it doesn't make you happy, give me your money, and it's all right. I'll take that money. There's no problem. Money makes you happy. Money doesn't buy you happiness. Who says it doesn't buy you happiness? It can buy you everything you want. Right? As happiness, to be free, to have pleasures in this life. Yes, it does. It is very important. Correct? Yes, alhamdulillah, people are saying yes. But there's difference, brothers and sisters, between happiness and being satisfied. Satisfaction is different than happiness. Money can buy you happiness. I'll tell you, it does. It makes you feel free. It makes you feel a certain type of pleasure. But for how long? For a certain moment, hours, months, years. Then something happens in your life and you go back to being sad or being miserable or even being depressed. Correct? You don't feel satisfied. Look today. Today we live, alhamdulillah, we live in a country where people have enough money to survive. We are all living a comfortable life, alhamdulillah. There's a lot of rich people, but look at how many people have mental problems. How many people face depression in these communities? Although they have all the money, but with that they are depressed. So money, true, it gives you happiness, but for a short period of time. It doesn't give you satisfaction. Satisfaction can only be achieved through having inner peace, through connecting to yourself, through spirituality. Now, before we get to Islam, the worldly religions such as Buddhism, Hinduism, and the rest, they agree on this concept. They say for you to be satisfied in this life, you can't receive this satisfaction through material stuff or material pleasures. You receive it through the inner peace, through meditation, through purifying your soul. The same thing with Islam. Islam also says or teaches us that satisfaction can only be achieved through spirituality and through having a special connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, الذين آمنوا وتطمئن قلوبهم بذكر الله ألا بذكر الله تطمئن القلوب. Those who believe and whose hearts find peace in the remembrance of Allah. Only in the remembrance of Allah can the heart find peace. Only through spirituality, only through having a strong relation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you can find rest or find peace. With that, you can still benefit from the material pleasures, but don't look at it as an end, look at it as a mean. I always give this example, and maybe I gave it before in previous years when I was here. Look at this life or material in this life as someone who walks on a bridge. You have a bridge and you have to get to your final destination. On each step of this bridge, there's plenty of money, plenty of treasures. Someone with a sound heart would take from each step what is enough for him to continue walking till he reaches his last or final destination. So he doesn't waste his time just collecting all the things that he finds in front of him. He looks at the material pleasures as a mean and not as an end. Someone with a sick heart would stand on the first step and keep collecting money, collecting worldly pleasures. When he stands up, he'll find that everyone passed the bridge and he's alone, standing alone. If he wants to walk, he'll feel how heavy he is from all the things that he collected, then he falls down with the bridge. This bridge is life, and the treasures are the worldly pleasures that you see. If you want to be successful and to reach your final destination, take what is enough for you to reach that destination. Look at the pleasures or the material pleasures as a mean and not as an end. When we see all these problems or the depression that some people face, we should try to open a new avenue for them in understanding religion. It's not enough to just say to them, read Quran or remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not enough. It's like giving medicine to someone and not telling them how to use it. Imagine to give medicine to someone and not telling them how to use it. It's not enough. If you want to solve all the mental or psychological problems that people face, and if you want to reach a sound heart, you need to get to a better understanding about this religion, or you should understand this religion in a better way. And this takes us to our last point. Our last point, inshallah, I've got another 15 minutes to my last point, okay? 15 minutes, inshallah, I'll try to cut it short to see how we can have a better understanding of religion. To have a better understanding of religion, we need to distinguish between religion and religious people. This is the first step. It is true that religious people represent the principles or the belief system that they follow. However, people of intellect, they distinguish between the principles and those who practice these principles. They don't judge any system based on those who practice it, but rather they look at the system or the principles of the system. So when they want to come and judge Islam, they don't look at Muslims and what they do. They look at the system of Islam. They look at the Quran and they look at the authentic narrations of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wa alihi. Because there's a big difference between religion and religious people. Let me give you an example. For example, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ إِخْوَةً فَأَصْلِحُوا بَيْنَ أَخَوَيْكُمْ. The believers are but brothers, so make settlement between your brothers. Islam presents the concept of brotherhood when we deal with each other, correct? Type. On a practical level, how do we deal with each other? If we follow the concept, do we follow the concept of brotherhood when we deal with each other? Maybe we follow the concept of brotherhood of the brothers of Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam when we deal with each other. Okay. You find when Muslims sometimes they deal with each other, you feel this negative energy between them. You feel how aggressive they are against each other, as if enemies are standing and fighting each other. Although the Quran It teaches us, or Islam teaches us, to deal with each other in a merciful way. Correct? The verse, it says, Muhammadun Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa وَالَّذِينَ مَعَهُ أَشِدَّاءُ عَلَى الْكُفَّارِ رُحَمَاءُ بَيْنَهُم. They are merciful between each other. When they deal with each other, they deal in a merciful way. But on a practical level, we don't find this in a lot of places. You'll find people always fighting, always arguing, always spreading this negative energy around. And let me tell you, some of the religious people, with all due respect to the people attending tonight, but some religious people, they make you sick of religion. They make you sick of religion. Some of the youth, or some of our youth, they don't attend any center or any mosque or even any religious program due to the negative environment that they see. When they come, they see people fighting for power, people fighting for authority. Who's going to be the leader? Everyone wants to be a leader today. Everyone. Okay. Who wants to have more money? So when they look at this environment, they run away. Or even when they see, for example, the parents very negative in approaching religion. Some of the parents, they attend with their children, and all what they do, they criticize the Islamic program, or they criticize the Islamic scholar in front of their children. And let me tell you, this is not a good thing. It's not a good thing. Maybe it makes you feel happy, barakallah, but it's not good for your children to see you very negative or criticizing in a negative way the scholar or the speaker and so on. The child will remember this, and in the future it will cause him a lot of problems. You should teach your children how to respect the religious environment, how to respect the religious scholar if they deserve to be respected. Okay, but not to build in them this, or to have it, to place in their mind this image of being very negative in criticizing everything. Because at the end of the day, you'll lose them. You'll lose them. Teach them how to have respect, not how to just attack or have to just criticize. This is the problem, and this is why you'll find a lot of the youth are running away or escaping from religion. Also, you have some group, in every community, you have some group who are very hot-headed or very extreme. Whatever you are doing, they come and tell you this is haram. Anything you're doing, it's haram. If you're eating anything, haram. Even if you're drinking water, haram. Everything is haram for them. If you have a bag of chips or chocolate, they start reading the ingredients one by one. And you know, in the ingredients, there's some numbers that I don't know what they refer to. M1 and M2 and something. I don't know. E1, E2. It's like E2 is haram. Do you know what E2 is? They start reading the ingredients one by one. And if they don't find anything in the ingredients, they call the company. If the company says to them, it's not haram, they say to you, well, we can't trust them, they are kuffar. I've seen that. Ya Habib, why? They're trying to hide the fact that it's haram so we can eat it as Muslims, and this haram food will affect our soul and affect our bodies. They are trying to destroy us. This is part of the arrogant power plan, and they build a big conspiracy about it. Then you wake up and you say to yourself, it's only a bag of chips. It's nothing. This is, some people, they are like this. Firstly, in fiqh, 5 minutes, as a fiqh ruling, it's not wajib, it's not obligatory to read the ingredients of any product that you want to eat. Go look at any risala amaliyah of any marja. It's not wajib. Unless it has meat, then you have to check whether this meat is halal or not, and the rest of stuff. But if you're eating a chocolate, if you're eating chips or eating anything, you don't have to look at the ingredients. You can eat it without complicating stuff to people or making religion very difficult. Again, you meet with the 4 groups that we mentioned in the previous night. When they hear this, they say, oh, you're trying to make religion easy to people. You're becoming soft. Okay, you're being influenced by the Western environment and so on. Let us return back to the Quran, away from the attacks of these people or the way they criticize. Let us return back to the Quran and see what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, yuridu Allahu bikum al-yusra wa la yuridu bikum al-usra. Allah intends for you ease and does not intend to you hardship. Allah wants this religion to be easy and you want to make it hard. It's like when the Prophet ﷺ, they mentioned this story, now I don't know how authentic it is. He went out to the battlefield during the month of Ramadan. He said to people, you break your fast because we are traveling. He broke his fast. Some of the people with him, they didn't break their fast. He said to them, why didn't you break your fast? They said, because we think it's better to stay fasting. Rasulullah broke his fast because he's traveling. You want to be better than the Prophet ﷺ? Allah here is saying, keep religion easy. You want to make it hard, why? Why do you want to make it difficult on people? The Prophet ﷺ, he says, Yassiru wa la tu'assiru, Yassiru wa la tunaffiru. Make things easy for the people and don't make things difficult. He's asking us, advising us to make things easy, not to make it difficult. And we want to make it difficult. Make things easy for people and don't make them leave religion. Don't make them escape from religion. So I shouldn't take a negative stance against Islam due to some of the religious or Muslims people and how they practice Islam. I need to distinguish between the two. Last point. Religion and our understanding of religion. Quickly I'll mention this because I don't have time. How do we look at religion? You know, in philosophy they say the truth is absolute. Okay? There's no multiple truth. The truth must be one. But our understanding of the truth can be more than one. Good. It can be more than one. Everyone can understand the truth in a different way. So the thing when it comes to religion, religion is one. Religion is one. Inna ad-deena 'inda Allah al-Islam. Religion is one. How do we understand this religion? Everyone can understand the religion in a different way. Some people, they limit religion to fiqh only. If you say to them, what is religion? They say religion is fiqh. So what's your obligation? Your obligation is to read the Risala Amaliyya, follow what is halal and what is haram, and that's it. That's your obligation, nothing else. But this method of limiting religion to fiqh, it makes the religion very dry. It makes you not feel any beauty for this religion, or you don't feel any beauty for this religion. It's like following a law, the law that you follow in this country. There's no beauty for it. There you must balance between having fiqh and having what? Spirituality. Having spirituality or purification. Even when it comes to fiqh, a lot of people, they mix between the Sharia and the fiqh. They mix between the Sharia, or they don't distinguish between Sharia and fiqh. You say, what's the difference between Sharia and fiqh? Usually we read al-masail al-shar'iyya, and that's wrong. We shouldn't use al-masail al-shar'iyya. Why? Let me tell you why. The Sharia, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لِكُلٍّ جَعَلْنَا مِنْكُمْ شِرْعَةً وَمِنْهَاجًا. To each of you we prescribe the law and the method. The Sharia is placed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it's revealed to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi to teach us the Sharia. No one can add to the Sharia of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No one can add anything to the Sharia, and no one can remove anything to the Sharia from the Sharia. For example, the Sharia, Allah says to you, كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الصِّيَامُ. It's obligatory on you to fast. كُتِبَ أَقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةِ. This is Sharia. طيب. How to practice this Sharia? how to practice the Sharia. If the Prophet ﷺ is present, we take from him the divine knowledge. If the Imam ﷺ is present, we take from him the divine knowledge. And during the time of the major occultation, who do we take this knowledge from? From the scholars. طيب. This knowledge of the scholar, is it a divine knowledge? No, it's an acquired knowledge. Do they claim, the scholars today, do they claim to have certainty in the knowledge that they reach? No, they say this is what we understand. So the fiqh is based on the understanding of the scholars, while the Sharia is a divine knowledge that comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It can't be changed. The fiqh can be changed based on the time and the place. Based on the time and place, it can change. So when we read this hadith, when they say halal Muhammadin sallallahu alayhi wa alihi, halalun ila yawm ad-din wa haram Muhammadin haramun ila yawm ad-din sallallahu alayhi wa alihi, the halal is halal to the end of the time and the haram is haram to the end of the time. It's speaking about the Sharia and not about fiqh. When it comes to the fiqh, something that is halal in a certain time can become haram in another time. And something that is haram today can become halal in the future. The rulings can differ. Look at Ahlul Kitab, as we mentioned previously. Ahlul Kitab, 20 years ago, the people of the books, or 30 years ago, the Maraja used to consider them to be najas, correct? Impure. While today, most of the Maraja, they consider them to be pure. Certain rulings can change. Why? Because the fiqh is not a divine knowledge. It can change based on the time, the place that we live in. And this can open in front of us another discussion. I'm not going to go there, don't worry. Another discussion on studying the place that we live in order for us to present a fiqh or a fiqh rulings that don't put us under difficulties. Some of the things that are beneficial in other countries, let's say in the East, if someone is living in Iraq, in Iran, in Lebanon, some of the rulings can be good for him there, but some of the rulings for us here, they cannot be applied. They cannot be applied, or they put us under a lot of difficulties, whether when we go to school, to work, or anywhere else. So we need to come up with fiqh rulings or fiqh theories at least on how to live this religion, how to follow this religion without putting ourselves or our children under pressure. This is what we learn from the message of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. Assalamu alayka sayyidi wa mawlaya Aba Abdullah al-Hussein wa ala al-arwah allati hallat bifina'ika wa anakhat birahlika alaykum minni salamu Allahi abadan ma baqit wa ma baqiya al-layl wa an-nahar wa la ja'alahu Allahu akhir al-ahdi minni li ziyaratikum. Assalamu ala al-Hussein wa ala Ali ibn al-Hussein wa ala awlad al-Hussein wa ala ashab al-Hussein. Assalamu alaykum jami'an wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Salawat.